Hello Internet, so nice to see you. One popular idea to write a song is to think of a story and then translate this story into music. So you can have in mind a love story or an adventure story or any other story you can imagine, and then you simply tell this story in music. That's a great idea. I actually recommend you guys try that. It's great, it's fantastic. There is only one little tiny teensy little problem. Have you noticed how everybody who recommends that never actually tells you how exactly, in practice, to translate a story into music? How do you go exactly from what's happening in the story to chords and melodies and rhythmic elements and notes and everything else you need to have in a song? How do you do that? Well, that's exactly what a student asked me, and this is what I told him. How's it going?
Going good.
So, what you got?
Let's talk about soloing and especially creativity. When I go, I want to express something in my solos, my mind immediately goes to stories and pictures, but translating that to the actual music is hard for me.
I see. So what kind of solution do you want? Do you want something else to think about, or do you want to learn to translate stories to music?
I would prefer the second way.
Translate stories to music.
Right.
Okay. So let's pick a story or something like that. Okay. So you guys know that all stories start with the same 3 words or 4 words, right?
Exposition, conflict.
No, there are specific words. Anybody? Once upon a time. Okay, good. Think at the concept of once upon a time.
Sure.
Okay. What do we associate with once upon a time? It's not a trick question.
Okay, it's distant, happened long ago.
Yes.
Could happen to every one of us.
Probably, yes. Great. To an unsuspecting family, typically, something like that. Okay. It starts. It's like the curtains opening.
Right.
Okay, and it takes you away in time and in space and in situations from where you are right now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
In a sense, while once upon a time the words are very expected, but it prepares you for something unexpected. Now, preparing you for something unexpected, I know, okay? It's kind of a contradiction, but that's what it is, okay? You are ready to be surprised, right?
Yeah.
Good. That's the concept, okay? So we need to look at what those things do in the story and how we can do something similar to this concept in music.
Okay.
So let's say we are talking about writing a solo, like you were saying, not a song, not a concept album, okay, but a solo, okay? And the first chord of the solo, it's E minor, but the first chord of the backing track of the solo, it's E minor. Give me the once upon a time. So, okay. That prepares you, no? Okay. I mean, you may look at this and think like, this is stupid, it's just 3 notes. Yeah, but it works. He could have played a completely different thing. It still will work because he has in mind right now the idea of opening the curtain and taking you away from where you were before, even if before there was nothing because I didn't play any song before. You want to start to look at the story. That was a little example. If you have to go to a whole story structure, it's going to take an hour and a half, give or take. But you can go through the whole thing and see what functionally happened in the story. We have the introduction, then we meet the protagonist, then there is an inciting incident or situation, okay? Something that happened, I don't know, Snow White father's dies, or somebody else, okay, or Red Riding Hood has to go and take the food to the grandma, or whatever it is, okay. Doesn't even matter, there must be something there, and so you have an inciting incident even in the solo, okay, or at least you could think about doing that. This is one way of writing a solo, not the only way to write a solo, it's just what he asked me today, okay. I don't want anybody going home and think, now I have to write a story to write a solo. It comes also with a writing assignment. No, you can do it in other ways. Most of the stories do pretty much the same thing, whether it's Red Riding Hood or The Matrix, okay? Pretty much, we are always going to the same situations and the same function, and okay, you have an introduction, you have an inciting incident, you have the protagonist doesn't want to do it, and the protagonist wants to do it because he has to, okay? Then the world changes, okay? You enter the forest, or you take the blue or red pill, I never remember which it is. You take the pill or whatever, okay? It's always the same beats, okay, in the same situation. And there is a plot twist, and everything seems lost. Then the protagonist has an illumination and everything goes well, okay? All this kind of thing. Great. You have to start thinking, how do you do that in music? A typical, very typical situation in stories, okay? It's a more typical situation in movies, but movies are a kind of stories, okay? It's the cliffhanger. What's a cliffhanger? Is when there is a situation, a crisis, okay? Somebody's about to die or something like that, or a surprise revelation, and then they let that part of the story there and then go and do something else. Either it's just like fade to black and we wait, or it's time for our commercial break, okay, especially in TV, or they just go and see what the other protagonist is doing and then just leave you there hanging.
Yeah.
How do we do that in music?
Landing on a tension note and just not resolve it?
Pretty much,
Yeah.
pretty much. You resolve it by, yeah, you do it by... Okay, so, right?
Right.
So it's the same kind of idea,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Now, one thing that could be interesting to do, that's your homework, okay, would be to take any movie in which there is a cliffhanger, or any story when there is a cliffhanger, and see how they do it. Do they fade to black? Do they go somewhere else? What is the kind of surprise, etc.? And start thinking, can I do the same in music?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to translate stories in music, you can think about the semantic of the story, which means the content. Who's the protagonist, what kind of protagonist it is, etc., what's the exact situation. Or you can think about the grammar, meaning, what does this situation do in the economy of the story?
Yeah.
In one side, when you think about the semantic of the story, you are inside the story. You're thinking about the character, what kind of person it is, etc., etc. You're not thinking about the story. You're thinking about the situation as if it was real. And that's what most people do when they try to translate music, a story into music. And that's a good approach, but quite complex.
Right.
It takes a lot of free association. What kind of character is this? How do I express that? How do I express, I don't know, Red Riding Hood in music, okay? I don't know. Something like that. I mean, before the forest.
Yeah.
After the forest. Okay, so in this case, I'm concentrating on the character. Instead, I could concentrate on the grammar of the story. Now, I'm not looking at the story as if it is real life. I am outside the world of the story and just see how the story is taught to me, is told to me. Where do we start? Where do we end? What happens in between? Okay, and so I translate things in a different way. In this case, Red Riding Hood before entering the forest is just a general expectation pattern, okay?
Right.
A vamp. Okay?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
But Red Riding Hood is now
wearing
shades.
It's a Red Riding on the Storm hood,
Yeah.
okay? You think, okay, it's an expectation pattern, and then when the Red Riding Hood enters the forest, it's still an expectation pattern because you have not met the big bad wolf yet. But you had to change the color of the thing. So how do you change the color of the thing? You change the rhythm, or you change the mode, or you change the orchestration, different things. So at this point, you start thinking functionally about what the story is doing. That seems to work better, because we are already used to thinking this way about music. Like form, verse, chorus, modality, okay, type of chords, orchestration, texture, timbre, all this kind of thing. We already think in this way. So you need to start thinking at the stories in this way.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I also like the example you gave from film. See which method they use to show the tension or whatever they want to express there. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Fantastic. So you have something to work on.
Absolutely.
Great.
Great.
Thank you, René.
Thank you.
Thank you.